I know what it's like. Life is hectic, busy, particularly at this time of year. It can always feel like we're playing catch up and there's never enough time to get everything done. So how can we possibly find time to make art? Sometimes it feels like we don't even have time to have a quiet 5 minutes with God. But be encouraged. I want to give you some tips on how you can create quickly and effectively, and even in just a small amount of time, connect with God. Hi, I'm Jenna Byrne, and I love to use mixed media art journaling as part of my prayer life. I'm a Christian, and I have been doing a series on YouTube called 10 Minutes Trusting, where I see if even just in a short space of time, like 10 minutes, I can spend time with God, I can create something and share my heart with him and listen to him and his heart for me. And it's been really wonderful, actually. I think when I started it, I wasn't necessarily convinced that 10 minutes was going to be enough time to really focus in on God. But, you know, he is the loving father, isn't he, in the story of the prodigal son. As soon as he sees the son on the horizon, he rushes out to meet him. So God rushes in our 10 minutes to love on us and spend time with us. But on a practical level, how do you create something in just 10 minutes? Surely it takes 10 minutes even just to get the art supplies out. And I know a lot of you are very busy and you've got all kinds of pressures on your time, and you might think, oh, it's all right for you, Jenna, but there's no way that I can fit this art journaling thing into my life. I just don't have time for it. So this video is 12 practical tips to help you create a page in just 10 minutes. And hopefully it will encourage and inspire you that you can do it. And give it a go and see what happens. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do that now. Hit the subscribe button below, and I hope you enjoy this video. So my first tip is get organised. Now, I am not an organised person. If you have a chat with my husband, you will find out. I am messy, untidy, and just can't organise anything for the most part. But I have found, since I have organised my main essential art journaling supplies, I am journaling much more frequently and I can get stuck in a lot quicker. So my main supplies I now keep in this, which is a cosmetics bag, and I have in here a good selection, and you can change it up, you know, you don't have to just commit to the same supplies, but I have in here a good selection of stuff that would easily enable me to create the type of page that I create in my 10 minutes of trusting. So I have got paints, I have got pens, I've got brushes, I've even got water spray in here, so I don't even need to go to the tap and get some water. I have got a little bit of collage material. So there I have another YouTube video showing you what is exactly in this. But the main point is work out the bare minimum of supplies that you need. Get a bag or even a pencil case, just an ordinary pencil case that you can stick those supplies in. You don't need a whole set of neo colours or a whole set of watercolours. Just take a couple of different colours, stuff them in a pencil case, so you have got a kit, a minimal kit of art supplies ready to go. So that is the brushes, paints and that kind of thing. In terms of collage materials, I also have this folder, and this has got smaller bits of collage papers in, and I have organised this. You'll be very proud of me. I've organised this by colour, and that is a really good tip, so that you can just reach in and grab. If your page is green and blues, you can just go to green, get some green collage material and plonk it on the page without having to think too much. So I actually have all these sections are organised by colour, and then I have a section of neutral stuff. I also have a section of images, a section of words in here, and I think the ones at the back are more kind of multicoloured things. So organise it however makes sense to you, but I think colour really helps me grab stuff quickly that is going to go nicely on the page. And it's surprising how, although my agenda is colour, God's agenda is often something else. He wants to say something through the pieces of collage material that I choose. Thing is, try and have your kit and your journal handy with you throughout the day. So this kit has enabled me to carry around the house and out and about, when I go out and about, everything I need to create a journal page, because you don't know when you are going to get those 10 minutes to create a page. It might be, you know, a nice quiet journaling session over a coffee, or it might be in the car while you're waiting for your kids to get out of school. And if you have everything ready to go, you can make the most of those little pockets of time to get a page done and to spend some precious time with God. So make it portable and take it with you. Take it with you around the house, take it out and about with you, so that you can make the most of those little bits of time that you do have, rather than scrolling through social media, which we all are inclined to do in those little bits of time. You can create a journal page in just 10 minutes. To use a smaller journal. So before I started doing my 10 minutes trusting, I would use an A4 journal. So my spreads would be A3 size. And I think this is great for a lot of reasons. And I still like to journal in this size journal. But there's something about using a smaller journal that just means that it feels like it's quicker. Technically, there's no reason why you couldn't create a page in 10 minutes on this, but I think it's a psychological thing as much as anything, that it feels like it's more achievable at a smaller size. You could go even smaller than this. You could do you could have a tiny little journal, and you could say, I'm just going to do a tiny little spread, and you need less paint, less spreading around the paint, less gluing. Everything's going to be smaller and take slightly less time, which is going to go in your favour if you want to create quickly. Start with something already on the page, and you will see in lots of my videos that when I sit down and I start my 10-minute clock, I'm actually cheating, because I'm working on a page that already has something on it. That might be quite a well worked up background. So for example, this page here is completely covered in paint and leaf prints and things like that. So I could create something on here very easily in 10 minutes, because there's already so much work has already been done. But even a page like this, I'm not struggling with that blank page procrastination. I've already got a colour I can work with. I've already got some shape, some interest in terms of the writing. It's ready to go. And you can start these pages when you have some time in the evening, when you just want to relax. You don't have to put much thought or energy into them. You can start creating these backgrounds ready for you to work on at any point. And they're fun. It's fun to do. It's fun to, just print some leaves. You could get some stamps out. You could just scribble with a crayon. Anything to get your page started so that you have something to work with, some interest already on the page. The next tip is similar, which is explore the idea of using an altered book. So I've only just got into this really, but in the same way as using a background that already has something on it, if you're altering a book, whatever the book is, I mean, this is a book about plants. It's a kind of history book, if you like. It's got lots of text on the page. It also has some illustrations, if I can find you one. Oh, sorry. Also has some nice illustrations as well. So there's already something to work with on the page, a bit of inspiration, a bit of direction in terms of colour. Even if this ends up being completely covered over, it helps you get started. So you could explore the idea of using an altered book. It doesn't have to be a big fat book like this. It could just be, my first ever altered book was a paint catalogue. I think I've got it around here somewhere. Here it is. This was a Farrow and Ball paint catalogue, and I used it as an altered book. Years and years ago I did this, but again, it's had lovely patterns and things already on the page, helping to provide some background interest. So you could just add a little bit of collage and a few words and images over the top, and you'd have your page ready to go. So, see what comes through your letterbox and see how you could possibly use that as a journal. My next tip is to work on your collage material. And by this, I mean there is lots and lots of collage material that you can use as it is. So I could use a piece of tissue paper like this, plain, onto my page, and that would be fine. But if I want to create a richer page in quicker time, you could do something like this. You could add some spots to your tissue paper, and that saves time. You could stick this on and to your page and then add the spots, but that's then soaking into your 10 minutes that you've got to create something. Whereas if you've already added the spots at an earlier date, you don't have to do that as part of the 10 minutes that you've got. Okay, so you can work on your collage papers in all kinds of ways. So for example, this was a piece of scrapbooking paper. It was this brown craft paper with this compass design in black on it. I have added white ink and I've added blue ink, and already it looks more interesting. There's more going on. It's more kind of painterly. It will blend in better with the rest of your page because of that, because it's already got some paint going on it. So you can see how I've already worked on that one. And let me see if I can find one more example. I've got some stamps here on some tissue paper. So if you've got some nice stamps, you can stick those on. There we go. There's another example. That was a book page, I think, and I've played with some more inks on that. So another tip is to create clusters. So again, with your collage materials, you can bundle them and layer them into little groups, little bundles, which you can stick together with glue, or you could even sew them together like I've done here. So I've got one going on in the background there, 2, 3, 4, 5 different elements going on here that I've created a little bundle with, and you've got the interest of the threads going on as well. Here's another one. I've got just, this is a bit simpler. I've got 3 pieces going on here. I've got a paper in the background here, some handmade paper, and this was a monoprint, a bit of a monoprint, and again I've sewn them. You don't have to sew them, you can just glue them, that's completely fine, or you could hand stitch them as well if you wanted to. And this is now an element which, if you then stick on a page, a background, it's instantly going to add a lot to your page. It's working really hard. So if you've only got 10 minutes to create a page, you can put some words on top, you could put, you know, an image on top, and straight away that's working a lot harder than just this, for example. That feels like it needs quite a lot of work to integrate it into the page. But this, the work's already done. It's ready to go. You can just slap on some words and it's ready to go. So creating these little bundles for future use is a really good way of getting your collage stash to work harder for you in that moment. There we go. Look, I've just made a bundle already. There we go. Really easy. And you can glue that down, put it in your nicely organised folder, and it's ready to go when you need it. Another tip, if you're short on time, is to work with dry mediums. So think dry rather than wet. And this helps in all sorts of ways. It means that you don't have the time of getting your water pot and your brushes. You don't have to clean all those things up afterwards. It also cuts down on drying time. If you're putting a whole load of ink or acrylic paint onto the page, you've then got to wait for that to dry, or go and find your hairdryer or heat tool to dry it with, and that is going to take up way too much time in your creative process. So certainly as you're working up through the layers, think dry rather than wet for speed. So obviously felt tip pens are nice and dry, pencils, just normal graphite pencil. Oil pastels are a really good option. The Neo colours are really nice because you can use them wet or dry, so you can add water to these, but remember, you don't have to. You can just, they're lovely pigments and you can just use them dry like this, and that's okay. That's you know, we can add lots of colour to our page with these, and without adding any water, without having to wait for them to dry in any way. And also in terms of glue, you can obviously use wet adhesives such as gel medium, but there is nothing wrong with a good old Pritt stick or glue stick to add your collage to the page, and then you're not waiting for that wet glue to dry. You're not having to clean up your brush or whatever you're using to spread it with. You're done as quick as that. You've got your collage stuff on the page. So a handy glue stick is a really good thing to have as part of your 10-minute kit. Also, if you are adding paint to your page, you want to add it thinly. so we don't have to wait for it to dry. And you can even add it without adding water. So you don't need a palette because that's washing up time. You just add a little blob to your page, wherever you want the colour to be. You can use a dry brush and you can spread that around. And just spread it as thinly as you can, so you're not going to have to wait for that to dry. Now, you will have to wash up your brush at some point, but other than that, that's job done. And you've got a big area of colour, and that's almost dry already because I've used a dry brush and I've spread it nice and thinly. So you will see in a lot of the pages that I create, I'm not doing anything complicated in terms of drawing. I mean, as soon as you sit down to draw something representational, that is going to take up a lot of time, and it's a lovely thing to do. If you've got time and you enjoy drawing, then go for it. If you've only got those 10 minutes, it's perfectly okay to go for something that is much more abstract, that is messy. Embrace the messy and the imperfect, rather than spending time doing detailed work. Borrow imagery in the shape of collage, magazine images, found images, found words to get things on really quickly onto the page. Finally, the final thing I want to tell you is to remember what it's all about. So really, those 10 minutes are about you connecting with God. It's not about creating a beautiful finished page. It's all about you slowing down, being still before the Lord, quietening your heart before the Lord, and receiving from him. And if this is all that your page looks like at the end of your 10 minutes, but you've had a glorious time receiving from the Lord and letting him love on you, job done. Hey, that's what we're in it for. So remember that you're in it to connect your heart with God's, and not to create a perfect, beautiful page. Okay, I hope that's really helped you out. I hope you're feeling a little bit more confident that it's worth sitting down and trying to create something, even if you only have 10 minutes to do it. So please do let me know in the comments if you have a go and what happens and how you feel about that. Let me know if this was helpful. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more helpful tips about how to use your creativity to connect with God. And I'll see you soon. God bless.